Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Kansas Day. Well, happy Kansas Eve, for tomorrow is Kansas Day. And to help you remember, here's a little ditty. God rest ye, merry Kansans all. Let nothing you dismay. The 29th of January is Happy Kansas Day. Let's all celebrate our free state status with a rousing hip hooray. With a rousing hip hooray, hip hooray. With a rousing hip hooray. We are probably the only Unitarian church in Kansas that actually sang that. Welcome to Shawnee Mission Unitarian Universalist Church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. Any visitors, searchers, or newcomers who are new to our space, welcome. Here's something that you should know. If you want to learn more about UUism or about this particular church, stick around, join us for coffee and conversation in our social hall following the service. We would love to chat with you and answer any questions you might have. Our minister, Rose Schwab, is away on sabbatical, and so today we have a guest preacher in his first appearance. There will be more. United Church of Christ minister, Reverend Peter Lucky, who will share some of his thoughts with us. We are fortunate indeed to have Reverend Lucky with us today. Now is the time to rise as you are able, look about, move about the room, and greet one another. Do so as you feel comfortable doing. Those of you watching online, say hi in the chat. It's good to be here. It's good to be here together. And now, our DRE, Jen, has some announcements.
Good morning. The sun is out today. All right, I just have one announcement. Next Sunday, we are hosting a lunch for our young adults following the service. This is a wonderful time to meet other young people in our church. At that lunch, I will be sharing some exciting news about a young adult conference we are hosting in June, when young adults from other UU churches in our region will gather for a weekend. I hope you can be there to learn more about that and be a part of planning that.
Good morning, my friends. I almost want to say hip, hip, hooray. My name is Peter Lucky. My friends, it is my pleasure to be your worship leader this morning. We come into this sacred space. We come with open hearts and open minds, ready to receive, to be renewed, and to be centered once again. We bring our hopes and our dreams, as well as our burdens and our worries. We come to be grounded in that love that transcends all loves, to once again discover the source of our being and the reason for our why, so that we can be empowered and renewed, and we can cast our light into the world's darkness so that we ourselves can be vessels of hope and renewal. Friends, let us rise in body or spirit and sing our opening song, hymn number 159, This Is My Song.
Would Evan come up to the chancel? As Evan comes up to the chancel to light the chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, please join in affirming that love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with one another. Each month, following the Soul Matters curriculum, this congregation takes time to reflect on a theme. We do it in our small groups, the children do it in their classes, and we take a moment here in the service as well. The theme for the month of January is Liberating Love, and here are my thoughts. As some of you know, maybe most of you, putting thoughts into words for me starts with a flash, maybe of inspiration. All I know is that something, an image, a word, a musical motif pops into my head, just like the cartoons of old, where a light bulb pops up over someone's head when they get an idea. When that happens, I know that that's the path I'm going to be taking at this moment. And what came into my head reflecting on liberating love was the cover of Joni Mitchell's album, Clouds. And with it, the song, Both Sides Now, which is on that album, and especially one line from that song, maybe it's two lines, tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. It's in the final third of the song. That song, like so much of Ms. Mitchell's corpus, has served at me as a touchstone for my entire adult life. But what has that to do with liberating love? Does it help us get a handle on liberating love? I don't know, but when an image pops into my head, I've got to go with it. In the song, Joni Mitchell admits she doesn't know. She's been trapped in a prison of binary opposition, either this side or that side, or both sides now, but always only the two. And the closest she comes to liberation is an understanding that she doesn't really know at all. And that perhaps is a step in the right direction, a humble admission of ignorance. And yet I somehow think that Ms. Mitchell did know and does know, or has a glint of knowledge or awareness, that the song sets up three pairs of images. The first part, in all cases, is of optimistic, youthful exuberance. The second part is a more muted idea, and it's a darker view and a more cynical view that comes with the dawning of adulthood. She's torn in the song between the two ideas, but her ignorance of what clouds, love, and life are seems more to negate the adult cynical stance while recalling her youthful exuberance where the heart spoke louder than the brain. And so for me, liberating love starts with feeling, and with feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. And with that in mind, I love you guys. I love this church. I love the world with all its warts, bruises, and sometimes harshness. And in the end, I think love wins.
All right, at this time, I'd like to invite all the children forward. All right, welcome, come in. In today's service, we are going to learn about the spirit of ubuntu. If you're like me, this word may be new to you. So let's practice saying it a couple times. All right, I'll say it. Is this working? Okay. I'll start first, and then you guys repeat after me. Ubuntu. All right, let's say it one more time. Ubuntu. All right, great. Ubuntu is part of many African cultures, and it shares many of the same principles as Unitarian Universalism. For example, the spirit of Ubuntu believes that all humans are interconnected, that our actions don't just impact us, they impact everyone. It also believes that all humans have worth and dignity. It doesn't matter what you look like, what you believe, all people deserve love and to live a full life. The spirit of Ubuntu became popular in South Africa during a time of apartheid. Apartheid means to be apart. During this time, black and white South Africans were kept apart or separated based on their skin color. Black Africans were not allowed to vote or to live and attend the same schools as the white Africans. Black Africans were treated poorly and unfairly in this system. This was a very difficult time, and I imagine that there were moments when people felt hopeless, that they would never be seen as equals or fully human again. But what's really cool about the spirit of Ubuntu is that it reminded Africans each day that all people are equally human and connected, even when kept apart. And because they are connected, they have a responsibility to each other. So people would often share food and resources when they had very little. They would educate each other about their rights. They showed up for each other. Ubuntu helped Black Africans survive. I learned this week that the spirit of Ubuntu is also present in how South Africans greet each other. In the United States, we often greet each other by saying hello, or good to see you. We greet each other so often that sometimes we don't even think about it. How many times do you all think you say hello in one day? If you had to guess. They're really thinking about it. They're counting on their fingers. Well, let's think about how many friends do I have? And, well, when you're at school, you probably say it, or some version of hello, you know, waving your hand, nice to see you. Yeah, Willa. We don't know. We say it so often, and I think sometimes it's hard to count because it's just so natural. We don't even think about it. In Ubuntu, greetings mean a lot. When two people meet, one person begins by saying "Sawubona," which means we see you. The person says we because they are connected, a part of a community that sees more than just a person's outer appearance. They see their past, who they are now, and who they aspire to become. Let's practice saying this word a couple of times. I'll start. Sawubona. Sawubona. All right, one more time. Sawubona. Good job. And after someone says sawubona, the other person responds with sikona, which means I am here to be seen. I'm showing up as my authentic self. This means that you don't have to pretend to be someone you're not. You are present and loved as yourself. Let's practice this word together. I'll start. Sikona. One more time. Sikona. All right. Last thing I want us to do. Now I want you to turn to someone beside you and look them in the eyes. Find someone. You guys are laughing. Is this awkward? Yeah. This is good. This is good. We're being present with each other, and presence can be awkward. All right, looking that person in the eye, I want you to repeat after me. We see you. I am here to be seen. May we all carry the spirit of Ubuntu with us this week. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Friends, we come to this place to see and to be seen, the spirit of Ubuntu, to teach and be taught, to hear and be heard. We come to share our joys and sorrows. If you have a joy or sorrow to share, I now invite you to come forward and light a candle. You can share what's in your heart or on your mind in 1 or 2 sentences, or share with a single word, or you can share in silence and simply light a candle.
That's not going to get it, Bernie. There we go. Okay, I'm Fisk Miles, and I'm lighting a candle of joy for our potluck dinner last night, which was wonderful fun. Thank you to everyone who contributed and joined in.
My name is Dale Trott, and I'm lighting a candle for someone who's was in my Soul Matters small group for the last year or more, and his name is Miles Raymond. Passed away a week ago yesterday. Got to know him way better than I would have as a normal churchgoer by being in a small group, and his wife was also a member of the group, so we're going to miss him deeply, and kind of came as a shock really last week. So he didn't come to the Sunday morning group, and later that day I found out why.
Any other joys and concerns this morning? I will now light the remaining candles to share and think about all the joys and concerns that we have in the entire world, those that are in the parts of our hearts that are not spoken. And as I do that, let's sing together a song. Just invite you into a moment to come fully into this place. I invite you into a moment of stillness. You may close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that. If you're not, that's okay too, but just to get comfortable in your chair where you are. And I think when you exhale, you might imagine that you're exhaling all the worries and anxieties that are part of life in this world. When you exhale, release it, just let it go. Let it go. And when you inhale, imagine you're inhaling the word peace. Let that peace beyond all human understanding flood your lungs and your heart, your whole being. So when you exhale again, imagine you're exhaling the word gratitude and inhaling the word peace. Let's just take a moment of silence. May peace be with us all. Let us remain seated for our meditative hymn, number 55, Dark of Winter.
Hear these words on Seen and Being Seen by Christy Sharshell. Every day, someone looks at me with conditioned eyes, making wild guess judgments about the length of my hair, the color of my skin, the maker of my shoes, never knowing what is real or who I really am. Once, someone looked at me through a compassionate heart, and all that was invisible was revealed in the light of it. Pain, fear, love, hope, fresh wounds and old scars, longing and aspiration. And my own heart smiled under that gentle gaze, in the clarity of both seeing and being truly seen.
Good morning again. It is so good to be here with you at Shawnee Mission Universalist Unitarian Church on Kansas Day Eve. I want to say hip, hip, hooray, just because I can say it. Have you ever noticed how good it feels to be seen? You walk into your exam or out onto the stage and somebody you love catches your eye and it makes all the difference in the world. Or maybe you're even in a hospital bed in one of those god-awful hospital gowns and somebody walks into your room through the door that is your beloved, and before the words are out of her tongue, she says with her eyes, "I see you." And in that moment, you no longer feel so alone in a hospital, but you feel like you're home. I remember as a kid growing up that my dad would take us to school, me and my brothers, and he'd drop us off, and he wouldn't just say, hey, see you later, have a good day, good luck. He'd say, boys, rock 'em, sock 'em. Wow. Jerry, moment, he didn't see us as these little boys with butterflies swirling in our tummies. He saw us as brave boxers about to enter the ring. And brave was the last word that came to my mind, what I was feeling. But when he looked and saw us, it was as if he saw us as brave and smart and funny, all the things that we hoped that someday we would feel. We felt so seen, and what a difference it made. Have you ever been around a baby learning to crawl? Maybe he doesn't even know how to walk yet. Crawling around a rug, and she's scooching around, and she's looking at her fingers and her hands and counting her toes. And what does that baby do every few seconds? She looks up to make sure, are you looking at me? Do you see me? And you want to say to that little baby, I see you. I see you exploring the world. I see you looking at your fingers and toes, and I love you. What a difference it makes to feel seen in this world. David Brooks, in his new book, How to Know a Person, writes, if a baby goes unseen by their caretakers for long periods of time, it does lasting emotional and spiritual damage. And just think, friends, how it was for so many people during the pandemic in a skilled nursing facility. Months went by when they could not be seen by their loved ones, the chair by their bed empty, nobody to take their hand and look in their eyes and say, I see you. As Jen said so well with her talk with the kids, this idea of seeing and being seen is so important. As the people, the Zulu people in South Africa say when they see each other, not hi, how are you, but sawubona, which means I see you or we see you. And then you say back sakona, which is I know that I exist because I am seen. In other words, it's only when I know that I'm seen that I do exist. It's the spirit of ubuntu, which translates as I am who I am because we are who we are. We are social beings, are we not? We all yearn for community, for connection. We all yearn to be seen. That's why that Psalm 139 is so beloved for thousands of years. Those words that cry out, try me and know my heart, search me. In other words, see me. Now, I know there are times when we all love our anonymity and we love to not be seen. Times when we stealthily snake through the party scrum and take it all in and give away nothing. Or times in the subway where we love to be the anonymous person in the big city. And I'd like just to see a show of hands if you're brave. How many of you people on Zoom now and then like to have your camera off? Right? All right, you want to be there in your PJs. There are times when we don't want to be seen, but at the end of the day, we do. We do. We want that place of trust and safety where we can let our hair down, where we know we are not going to be judged, seen for the beautiful person that we are. Those wonderful words of Christie's poem, once someone looked at me through a compassionate heart, and all that was invisible was revealed in the light of it. Pain, fear, love, hope, fresh wounds and old scars, longing and aspiration, and my own heart smiled. Heart smiled because I felt like I was seen. Martin Buber was a famous philosopher of the 20th century. He had the view that we are all created in the image of the Creator, and that we are meant to treat one another as a thou and never an it. Now, thou could be the divine being, the thou could be the universe, the thou could be the person that's sitting right in front of you now. Martin Buber calls us to see each other always as a thou and never as an it. And the tragedy of our human experience is so often that we have turned our relationship of seeing one another as thou into an it, into an object, and not a subject. How important it is that we see one another as a thou and not an it. How important it is that we live the spirit of Ubuntu, recognizing our common humanity. But how do we do that? How do we live into Ubuntu? Jackie Lewis is a pastor at the Middle Collegiate Church in New York City, and in her book, Fierce Love, says 2 words: fierce love. Fierce love. Not the romantic love of comedies and greeting cards, but the heart-transforming, fierce love, something that breaks through our separation and our fractured lives from each other and from ourselves and helps us realize our common connection, our common humanity. I am who I am because we are who we are. Ubuntu. What a wonderful world it would be if we saw one another as a thou. We saw every person as our neighbor. It didn't matter if they were cis or trans or gay or straight or black or white or, yes, Republican or Democrat. We just saw each other as a thou and not as an it. What a difference it would be. Are we dreaming the impossible dream here, my friends? Are we Don Quixote jousting at windmills? Perhaps we are. Perhaps we are dreaming the impossible dream. But what if we scaled back our expectations just a little bit and decided, you know what? We can't save the whole world, but we can do something in our own backyard here. Maybe in our relationships, in our marriages, and in our families, and in our communities, and in our congregations at Shawnee Mission UU Church. You know, it's think globally, but act locally. That what would be the first step to bring that spirit of Ubuntu here into our own backyard? So, today is Kansas Day Eve, as Bernie told us. And tomorrow, on the 29th of January in 1861, 163 years ago tomorrow, our state of Kansas was admitted into the Union as the 34th state in the United States. And it is fitting, in keeping with the Kansas Day spirit, to ask, what would it look like if we brought the spirit of Ubuntu to the Sunflower State here and now? And I want to suggest that we take a page out of our history. That the controversy around the admittance of Kansas into the Union revolved around the very issue that aimed the guns at Fort Sumter in Charleston, South Carolina. Yes, and that issue was slavery. And yes, I'm speaking to you, Nikki Haley. Slavery, the reason of the Civil War. And in 1854, the Kansas-Nebraska Act determined that the new frontier territories would enter into the Union as a state based on popular sovereignty, which meant how many votes counted in the state of Kansas, in which way it would go, as a slaveholding state or a free state. Well, that decision precipitated the migration of a group of brave pioneers who came from New England out to the frontier and settled here in Kansas. And they came not because they were looking for gold. They came because a passion burned in their hearts, a passion born of the conviction that slavery was an abomination. Why? Because in their view, every human being was created in the image of their Creator and therefore sacred and worthy of dignity and respect. And ever if there was an institution that treated human beings not as a thou, but as an it was slavery. Not seen as human beings, but seen as chattel, seen as property. Children ripped from their mothers' and fathers' arms. The institution of slavery. And those pioneers wanted it to be abolished. And so they took this arduous task to come out to this land. And they staked their lives upon it, and they paid for it in their blood. Bleeding Kansas is not just a metaphor. So I ask you, given that this is the history of our state, this is our story, what I ask you is this spirit still alive in the heart of Kansas? Do we, in our collective DNA, still have a hunger to live by the spirit of ubuntu, of seeing in one another our common humanity? Is that spirit still alive in Kansas? I'd like to hear a resounding yes. Yes. All right. Because, my friends, the battle to realize the spirit of ubuntu did not end with the abolition of slavery. This battle goes on today. This, friends, is a worthy fight. It's a moral battle when people are unwilling and they close their eyes to the human suffering of their fellow citizens. And I want to talk for a minute about who is suffering here in the state of Kansas today. And that is 150,000 Kansans, 150,000 Kansans who are being denied their health insurance through Medicaid when $700 million federal money lays on the table. That is who is suffering. And I want to say to some of our legislators in Topeka, do you see these people? Do you see them? Do you see them frying your fries and changing your soiled sheets and mopping your school bathroom stalls and selling you snacks at the quick shop? Do you see your neighbors? From Lenexa to Liberal being denied health care coverage because they fall in between the gap of 38% of the poverty line and 138% of the poverty line. Do you see them? And when they have a cut, they bleed. And when they fall, they break their bones. And cancer doesn't ask what your income level is when it invades your life. How many Kansans have already died because they didn't have proper health care, preventable treatment? Why is this being denied us in this state? 10 states left that do not have Medicaid extended. 8 out of 10 Kansans want this to happen. 59 rural hospitals are in danger of being closed. Friends, I could go on, and I know you have a lot of thoughts on this too. But I want to just impress you with this one point, that it really comes down to seeing one another in our common humanity. And this is a moral issue. It is a moral issue when there are political leaders who refuse to see human beings as human beings. And I want to just celebrate you here at Shawnee Mission Universalist Unitarian Church, because you are one of the moral communities in this state who remind the rest of us to pay attention, to look and see who's not being seen, who's suffering, who's hurting, who's deserving of love. I want to celebrate organizations like KIFA, Kansas Interfaith Alliance, which is an alliance of a whole group of faith communities of all backgrounds, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, non-theistic, who come together to advocate on the behalf of people in our state house in Topeka. It is so important, moral communities like Shawnee Mission UU Church, for the work that you do to raise your voice, to help us to see who we're not seeing. You know, it's just so important to be seen. And there are times in our lives, all of us, when we are blind, when we don't see, when we don't really pay attention to what's really going on. We don't really see that person right in front of us. You know, and this is shameless, but there's a final scene in The Wizard of Oz, speaking of Kansas. And the thing I love about the final scene is when Dorothy comes home and she's lying in her bed and her Aunt Emma is putting a washcloth on her head and she wakes up from the dream. It is as if when she looks and she sees the person that was a scarecrow and the Tin Man and the lion peering through the door, and there's her Aunt Emma, and she realizes she sees them as if for the first time. And realizes that these are her fellow Kansans, these are her family. She's been on the hero's journey, and she really sees with new eyes. And she says, "Oh, Auntie Em, it's you. Toto, we're home. This is my room, and you're all here. And I'm not going to leave here ever again because I love you all. Oh, Auntie Em, there's no place like home." May we, friends, struggle and work so that all Kansans can feel seen and can have the experience of feeling, because they are seen, there's no place like home. Amen.
We are Shawnee Mission Unitarian Universalist Church. The church is the sum total and more of all of our efforts to build it up. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of the shared values of this church. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now, as I extinguish, we are going to be singing hymn 140, I believe is next on the agenda. Which seemed very Oz-like to me.
To build that glorious city shining with light is to see in one another our common humanity. Reverend Richard Cordley served as one of the founding pastors at Plymouth Church in Lawrence, Kansas in the 1850s and 1860s. And he and his wife Mary did a very brave thing. At a time it was illegal. You were breaking the federal law if you harbored a runaway slave. The pastor at Plymouth Church at that time, Reverend Cordley, and his wife Mary found a young woman by the name of Lizzie and took Lizzie into their home and provided shelter for her and safety and helped her on the Underground Railroad north. It is people like Reverend Richard Cordley, and I pray that that spirit of ubuntu that was in him may be in all of us, and that this week we go out into this world and we find somebody and we look them in the eye. And even if we don't say sawabona out loud, we're thinking sawabona in our hearts. We see you. Amen.
Thank you.